Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today I've got a bit of a review for you with a bit of a difference, and the review is of Immune by Philipp Dettmer. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books, and today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I have been really enjoying in the month of January. In case you haven't been to my channel before or you haven't seen any of my videos in January, I was participating in the Tandem Collective's first ever YouTube read-along, and the YouTube read-along was for this wonderful book, Immune by Philipp Dettmer, and this is the story of the immune system. Tandem Collective very kindly hosted this read-along over the course of 13 days in January. I will link them in the description down below, along with all of the lovely booktubers who were also participating, so do go and check out their channels, do go and check out their reviews of this book. Tandem have very kindly sponsored this video, but it will still be my honest opinion on Immune. As well as the review, I'm going to be undertaking some creative challenges. So I thought I would intersperse the review with some of the challenges, and I will be filming some of the challenges separately due to camera setup reasons and things like that. So if I'm wearing various different outfits throughout the video, that is why. First of all, to wrap up the book Immune, I did love this book, and I thought that what this book did for me in terms of non-fiction was it has taught me that I can read science books and I can understand scientific concepts if they are presented to me in the right way. And I feel like I've for the longest time avoided science non-fiction. I mean, to be honest, I really only read non-fiction that is either memoirs or people writing about books. So this was definitely a bit out of my comfort zone, and this was really refreshing. It does take you through some incredibly complicated science, and on some of the days I was really grateful for how Tandem had broken up the book into bite-sized chunks for the read-along, because there were some days when I definitely couldn't have coped with any more information about the immune system. There was so much information packed into this book. But I would definitely say, do not let that put you off. There were other days when I flew through the chapters, I really was left wanting more. The first really great thing about this book is that it is definitely going to encourage me to pick up more scientific non-fiction and more non-fiction in general. This book really did surprise me and really did engage me. So before we go any further with reviewing Immune, let's see what the first creative challenge is. It is a quiz, and I love quizzes. Which immune cell are you? Are you a T cell, or are you more of a macrophage? Take the quiz linked below to find out. Question number 1 is, on a team, what role do you usually play? I do lots of research so we can reach our goals. I produce tools to help us achieve our goals. I work on details with unparalleled focus. I facilitate the team, and I'm flexible and will do whatever is most needed. So I would say that I am quite a flexible person. I am also a very indecisive person. So yeah, I will basically, within a group, usually take on a role that it needs to be filled. So it could be that one. I also do research, I would say. So I'm going to go with, I'm flexible and will do whatever is most needed. So my friends would describe me as a leader. No. Multifaceted, a problem solver, creative or passionate. I am going to go with, I'd like to think my friends think that I'm creative, but I don't think I'm particularly creative, so I'm not sure I would go with that one. Problem solving, not the best at. I would probably go with multifaceted. I'll try that. What type of traveller are you? I have a long list of places I want to go and I'm diligently checking them off. I prefer to see many places, not spend a ton of time in each place. There's always one or two things I have to see or do no matter what. If I don't, I may get a bit cross. I am the planner of the group when I travel. I like to book my itinerary with as many things as possible. The trips are more of a whirlwind. I make a record of everything I see and do, whether through social media, the journal or regular email, so others can experience the trip with me as much as possible. Not that one. I would say that I am the planner of the group when I travel. Mainly because I've mostly travelled with my husband. In fact, pretty much always have travelled with my husband. And I would say that I am the one who looks up things, decides what are the things we're going to go and see. I'm going to call myself the planner of the group. When faced with conflict, what is your go-to response? Get others' opinions first so you can feel confident in how you decide to proceed. We do ask other people for opinions. Implement a multi-pronged comprehensive solution. Gather as much information as you can to decide how to proceed. Face it with cool efficiency. Not good at that. Keep the big picture in mind, as focusing on small details can distract from diffusing the problem. I'm going to go with that one. What activity is a must do on weekends? Checking the news I missed during the week. Not that one, I don't like checking the news. Organising my home, usually leading to donations and recycling. No, I'm a terrible, terrible hoarder, so not that. Trying new recipes. I've occasionally done that. Checking in with friends or family, or working on my hobbies and passions. I would say it's either sort of family and friends or hobbies and passions. So I'm going to go with friends or family because that's what I did last weekend. What career most appeals to you? Flight attendant, engineer, politician, archaeologist or artist? I think out of those I would most like to be an artist. Not that I am artistic. Which trait is most important to you? Confidence, adaptability, resourcefulness, passion or intelligence? I'm going to go with I think passion is really, really important to me. What do you bring to the party? Food or drinks? Got to keep up everyone's energy levels. Yes, I do love food and drinks. Photos from my latest trip. No. Myself, what more could they want? All the gossip. Games which you would teach everyone to play. Now, I have been guilty in the past of taking games to other people's house because I rarely find somebody who wants to play a game with me. But I'm going to go with food or drinks. That's much more me. Oh, so my result is I am a T-cell. Which means I get to go to Murder University. Woo! I'll tell you about Murder University in a minute. That was my favourite part of the book. So you are a T-cell. You've always got your eye on the big picture, just like T-cells, who can adapt to be whatever is most needed, from battlefield commander to caterer. You've developed skills in multiple areas, and whichever one you decide to focus on, you'll ace it. Be it goals or the people in your life, you're constantly searching for ways to bolster and support, consistently checking in and using your breadth of knowledge to assist. Here we go. So I am a T-cell. Let me show you a picture in this book, which is really super helpful for the immune system. So this shows basically a map of all your different types of cells in the immune system, and this can be found in the back of the book. So this was very, very helpful, especially when things got complicated. So let me tell you a little bit more about the book Immune and what I liked about it. So I've just shown you one of the pictures, and I did find that the pictures were really clear and helpful to me. And quite often there was like repetition of key points in the book, in the writing, and then quite often those key points would then be reiterated again through a handy graphic, which really, really did help me. And I read in the back here in Philipp Dettmer's acknowledgements that Philipp Dettmer, who was the first employee and creative director of Kurzgesagt, which is Philipp Dettmer's YouTube channel which describes all different scientific things in a nutshell, and we'll come to more about that later. So Philipp Dettmer did the illustrations for this book, and they were just brilliant. Here, for example, is like a bit like a comic strip of the different stages of like a pathogen invading the body, and this one is actually about like autoimmune problems, antigens and self-antigens. Yeah, as you can see, I did mark quite a few things that were of interest to me as I went through the book. There were some parts that made me laugh. I really loved the way that Dettmer in his introduction sort of set this book in context of why he wanted to write it and what had happened in his life that brought him to a fascination with the immune system, led to the creation of his channel, and led to him persisting with writing this book. That setting in context for me was really important to this. I like to know where people are coming from, why they've written books. I find that fascinating. Throughout the book, really, I found Philipp Dettmer's writing style very conversational. So I think you would like this book if you want to learn about these complicated concepts, but you also like that being presented to you in a kind of conversational way. He very much uses layman's terms, tells you what the real terms are for it, and then pretty much says, forget that, we're not going to use that term again. And I personally really enjoyed a lot of the analogies that he wrote. Some of them were very funny, some of them just really helped me to visualise what is going on in our bodies when our body becomes infected. Immune was basically broken down into 3 sections. Part 1, Meet Your Immune System, was a sort of general introduction. Part 2, Catastrophic Damage, was about sort of invasions from outside and what does your immune system do about that. Part 3, Hostile Takeover, was all about like the systems inside our bodies that are in place, like where we have a mucosa layer, so where we have sort of outer parts in our insides, getting even more specialised with the immune system. And part 4, Rebellion and Civil War, was really about what happens when the immune system goes wrong. So we learnt about HIV and AIDS, allergies, autoimmune disease, parasites, which was very scary, and basically stress and cancer and the immune system as well. That was a really interesting section for, okay, so we know how it works. What happens if it doesn't work? What happens if these things happen to our bodies? And I found that section really interesting. In fact, one of my only complaints about Immune is I would have liked even more, not about the complicated intricate details, that would have been definitely brain overload, but I would have liked even more sort of real world examples and coming at it from the point of view that I came at it, which is as a person with a damaged, impaired immune system because I don't have a spleen. I would have liked even more information about the spleen and about what happens when you don't have a spleen. And I would have liked even more information about autoimmune, which I find very fascinating. I don't think that this is a problem at all with the book. I think it's a problem with me wanting to know specifically more about me. Yeah, from a selfish point of view, I would have liked to learn even more about what does your immune system do when it doesn't have the spleen in there. So creative challenge number 2 is, what are your 3 dinner party facts from Immune? So one of my favourite dinner party facts from Immune would be that we have the universe's largest library inside us, in that our body has the capability to deal with every disease, every infection we've ever come across in history and in this world, and even bacteria and viruses that we have not yet come in contact with, such as Dettmer suggested bacteria that could be found years from now on Mars. We have the capability inside our bodies to respond to that, because in this library there is every single possible antibody you could need, but there's only like a couple of each one, so you don't already have everything you need to deal with that disease, but you even have antibodies to help you deal with like the Black Death and things like that. So I found that fascinating. There were definitely a lot of facts in the book that I wouldn't talk about at dinner parties. I definitely wouldn't be talking at dinner parties about worms and parasites. That section was absolutely disgusting. I think one of the other things that really fascinated me about the immune system is how differently bacteria behaves to viral infections. So when you get bacteria come into your body, Dettmer very much describes it as bacteria are just fighting, you know, with your immune system straight away. He describes them as, at one point, as like drunk toddlers in a sweet shop. So you can imagine the chaos that is in your body when bacteria gets in. However, viruses behave very differently. When a virus gets into your body, it tries not to create any fuss at first. So the dangerous thing about viruses is that they actually go under the radar because they actually invade your very cells themselves. I mean, my absolute favourite fact that I learned for the first time in this book is that we actually have an immune organ sort of about here in our chest called the thymus, and I had never heard of the thymus before. And the thymus basically acts as the murder university of your body. So in the thymus, that is where your T cells are trained up to be able to recognise and communicate with other immune cells. If they can't communicate with other immune cells, they are immediately eradicated. If they are not able to successfully differentiate between self and other, which is the really important thing that a lot of your immune cells do, they can't recognise that, they will also be eradicated. So only about 2% of your T cells actually ever graduate from Murder University. It is a brutal place. Those would be the three things I would most like to get clear enough in my mind to talk about at dinner parties. I think those are just about fine to talk about at the dinner table. Creative challenge number 3 is to take one of the many metaphors that Dettmer uses to help you picture the inner workings of your immune system and create a time lapse of you drawing one of the metaphors from Immune. So this is where my creative skills are going to come in. My drawing skills are not the best, so as I always said to classes of children when I was teaching them, please don't laugh at what I'm about to draw, and I've chosen viruses to illustrate. So what I'm drawing here is how viruses invade your body, and viruses actually invade the cells themselves in your body. So here I'm drawing the cells imagined as houses. So we're imagining that we're in part of the body and here is a small town of cells and the residents are asleep because viruses like to sneak in. This is a bit of a Trojan horse metaphor. Trojan horse full of viruses. When the residents of your cells cannot raise the alarm, viruses will sneak in to the cells. So out of the Trojan horse comes viruses, and the viruses sneak in to the houses that are your cells, and when they've done that, they come across the residents of your cells, and they don't want them to raise the alarm, so they will murder them, and they will turn your cells into a production zone for viruses. And the virus reproduces and reproduces until the cell is completely full, at which point the cell will then explode, which causes obviously the viruses to spread out and be able to invade even more cells. So yeah, not good. And while this is happening, this is obviously happening under the radar because the viruses have snuck in. And what I drew at the very end here in the last cells is what the virus doesn't want to happen. It's a resident of a cell raising the alarm. Here is the finished virus invasion. So creative challenge number 4 was, if you accidentally give someone the gift of germs, awkward, why not also gift them immune so they'll understand how their body is fighting off those germs? Less awkward. Who is immune the perfect gift for? Who in your life would appreciate the gift of immune and learning more about their immune system? Ever since Tandem and Hodder Books sent me this, my husband has been desperate to get his hands on it, so he's been waiting very patiently for me to finish reading this so that he can have a go with it. A couple of times I think I've read parts out from this or mentioned something to him and he's been like, oh, I really, really want to read this. So I think that this will be perfect for him. He really does enjoy non-fiction and learning new things, but he also is mostly someone who consumes books via audiobook. But this one, because of all the pictures and diagrams, really does appeal to him, and I definitely will be passing it to him next. I've also encouraged my mum to read this. I think she will really enjoy it as well, as somebody who really, really likes non-fiction. I think this would make a perfect gift for someone in your life who has a thirst for knowledge, particularly scientific knowledge. I think that I went into this book a little bit nervous that there would be parts of this book that I might not cope that well with reading, because I have a complicated medical history and because of all my fears and anxieties that have grown up around the pandemic in the last few years. I am really, really pleased to say that this didn't scare me too much. Sometimes I felt quite scared while reading it, especially when I was reading about the viruses that I've just talked about. But what happened after every really scary part was the part where the book addressed how that is dealt with by your body. And I just think the system, things that are going on inside our bodies are so fascinating. On this tiny, tiny little level, all of this stuff is going on, and I find that incredible, and I found it very reassuring, even though I know that my immune system is not quite like other people's immune systems. I did find elements of this very comforting. I do think that I might have been a lot more interested in science at a lot younger age if I'd have known there were books like this out there. For creative challenge number 5, I'm going to be checking out the Kurzgesagt YouTube channel, which is the very, very popular science channel of Philipp Dettmer. I'm going to film my reaction to my choice of a Kurzgesagt video. Any of the videos I choose or comment on will of course be linked in the description down below. So, as you can see on the Kurzgesagt channel, there are lots and lots of different videos. There's a section of their best stuff that they suggest you try if you're new to the channel, and I'd highly recommend that you go and check Kurzgesagt out for yourself. I'm going to watch a happy video, and there's a video here called Why Beautiful Things Make Us Happy, Beauty Explained. So I'm going to have a look at that
can be
one
beautiful.
first of all.
Landscapes, faces, fine art, or epic architecture. But our first tools were trimmed to a symmetrical shape. Researchers have tried to find practical reasons why our ancestors invested the time to make their tools look nice, but couldn't really identify any. It seems that early humans shaped their tools into teardrops simply because they liked them better that way.
I absolutely love the pictures on Kurzgesagt. I love the pictures in the book, and they're just really visually pleasing on here. And it's very appropriate that this is a video about why beautiful things make us happy. So, first of all, he's talked about how even our ancestors made their tools sort of symmetrically shaped, and that was probably just because they liked them that way.
Definition of beauty has changed a lot. Ideals have shifted or turned into their opposites. But beyond individual and contemporary taste, some things have never really gone out of fashion. The golden ratio, symmetry or fractal patterns can be found in the art and architecture of cultures from our beginnings to today.
Maths.
Humans seem to be in mysterious inherent agreement about the beauty of certain things. The patterns that keep coming up are all rooted in nature. They became part of our biology because they helped our ancestors survive. Fractal patterns, for example, occur all over nature, in snail shells, flower heads, waves, or clouds. Identifying and assessing these things and phenomena correctly used to be vital. Do those clouds mean
So far a lot of this video has been about we have basically evolved to find symmetry beautiful because symmetry has been helpful to our survival as a species, and so it's sort of hardwired in us certain types of beauty. And he's now going on to talk about art and nature.
Day by day anymore. We left the natural world behind and created our own. We made the objects that surround us, the things we wear and use and look at. As we spread over the planet and our numbers grew, we shaped a completely man-made environment. More beautiful surroundings made them feel better physically. Beauty also has an effect on us.
That's really interesting. So in this part of the video, he's saying that an experiment was done in a hospital with 2 wards. One of the wards was older and not aesthetically pleasing, and the other was newly renovated and much more pleasing aesthetically. And to the researchers' surprise, the patients in the aesthetically pleasing, newly renovated ward needed less pain medication, and they were able to leave the hospital up to 2 days earlier. So that's really interesting.
On a daily basis, it can improve our general happiness. A study that looked at the main factors influencing the happiness of adults revealed an unexpected result. Besides things like good health and a harmonious family life, individual happiness is affected by how beautiful you find the city you live in. Beauty scored even higher than cleanliness or safety.
So what I really loved about that video, which I also love about the Immune book, is that despite the fact that it's quite a short video and the information is in quite bite-sized chunks, the channel does revisit at the end of the video what have we learned here and summarises each of the points really even more briefly. I definitely will be returning to Kurzgesagt. I'm interested in some of the videos on climate change. There's a really interesting video here, it looks like, called Are There Lost Alien Civilizations in Our Past? I would really like to watch some of the space videos, some of the sort of life on other planets videos. The question on our challenge card was, what do you think Philipp Dettmer should write his next book on? And to be honest, if he chose most of these subjects, I would be really interested in it. I'd love to read a book by him on space, like dinosaurs and alien civilizations and things like that. I would probably avoid a book about apocalypse, which is really strange because I absolutely love fictional books about apocalypses. But I also have a deep fear of actual apocalypse, so that would be very scary to me. But yeah, I definitely look forward to Philipp Dettmer's next book. If it was more about the body, I would be super interested. I would say that I had a really good time with this book. I really appreciated the fine balancing act that Philipp Dettmer had achieved, presenting all of this information without overwhelming his audience. Things that I loved about it were definitely the analogies, the fact that it made me laugh, the wonderful illustrations. I just found that I was looking forward to this book every day and looking forward to finding out something new every day. And it's been the perfect book to kickstart one of my goals for the year, which was to read at least one non-fiction book every month. It's also helped me to see that I can read about things that are relevant to me and relevant to my medical history without stressing myself out too much. If you have read this book, I would love to hear from you in the comments. And if you do go and pick up this book as a result of the tandem read-along, please do let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you what your experience is with it, whether you liked it as much as I did. I do think there is obviously definitely trigger warnings in this book, and you should go into it knowing that there are sort of gory body related things in the book, and also talk of terrible illness and death. So don't go into it thinking it's a lovely light-hearted read. Incredible what goes on inside your body and what your immune system can do. I've really enjoyed the Immune Read-Along this January. If you haven't yet checked out Tandem Collective's YouTube channel, that will be linked down below. They also have a huge presence over on Instagram with daily posts over there and a brilliant newsletter where you can find out all about different read-alongs that are coming up that you can join in with. So I think that's all from me today, except to say thank you very much to Tandem for giving me the opportunity to participate in this read-along. Thank you to everybody who read this book with us, because I really enjoyed talking to all of you. If you have enjoyed seeing my terrible attempts at creativity, please do give this video a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I would love to hear recommendations for other scientific non-fiction you've read. What have you been really enjoying in the world of non-fiction that you think I should check out? And I do hope very much to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.